The world watches with bated breath. Every headline, every news bulletin, and every social media post seems to echo the same sentiment. A crisis is looming on the horizon. China, the sleeping giant, seems to be stirring. The bustling streets and towering skyscrapers of its cities mask a growing tension that is palpable to those who look closely. Alarming signals are emerging from Beijing, hinting at a potential crisis that could reshape the geopolitical landscape. The Chinese government, with its imposing buildings and stern flags, stands as a symbol of a nation on the brink of a significant decision. An air of urgency hangs heavy, fueled by whispers of conflict and the specter of war. The presence of military forces, the stern faces of soldiers, all point towards a nation preparing for an uncertain future. At the heart of this unfolding drama lies Taiwan, a small island nation that has become the focal point of an increasingly volatile standoff between China and the West. The serene coastlines and bustling streets of Taipei now stand as potential flashpoints in a global power struggle. The situation is further complicated by China's internal struggles. Factories that once hummed with activity now stand eerily silent, and the streets are filled with the voices of protesters demanding change. Its economy, once a beacon of unparalleled growth, is showing signs of faltering, leading to domestic unrest and a tightening grip on power by the ruling Communist Party. The fluctuating stock market numbers and empty commercial spaces paint a picture of a nation grappling with economic uncertainty. Against this backdrop of uncertainty, one question resonates louder than ever. Will China gamble its future on a risky invasion of Taiwan? The naval ships patrolling the Taiwan Strait, the high-ranking officials' intense meetings, and the military exercises near coastal areas all suggest that the stakes have never been higher. The world waits, watches, and wonders what the next chapter in this unfolding drama will be. The drums of war are beating louder. Intelligence reports, though fragmented and often contradictory, paint a worrying picture. Sources suggest that China might be accelerating its timeline for a potential invasion of Taiwan, perhaps even within the next 6 months. Such an aggressive move would have profound implications for the region and the world. It would pit China directly against the United States and its allies, potentially triggering a conflict with catastrophic consequences. While the exact triggers for a Chinese invasion remain shrouded in secrecy, a confluence of factors suggests that the risk of conflict is higher than ever before. For decades, China's economic rise has been nothing short of remarkable. The country has seen unprecedented growth, transforming its cities into sprawling metropolises and lifting millions out of poverty. Fueled by cheap labor, government subsidies, and access to Western markets, China became the world's factory, producing goods at a scale and speed never seen before. It transformed itself from a poverty-stricken nation into a global economic powerhouse, with cities growing at an astonishing rate and infrastructure projects that reshaped the landscape. However, this economic miracle seems to be losing steam. Factories that once buzzed with activity are now eerily quiet, and markets that were once bustling are seeing fewer customers. Growth is slowing, debt is soaring, and unemployment, especially among the youth, is reaching alarming levels. The once unstoppable economic engine is now sputtering, raising concerns both domestically and internationally. This economic downturn presents a significant challenge for the Chinese Communist Party. The leadership is under immense pressure to find solutions to these mounting problems as public dissatisfaction grows. As internal pressures mount, there are growing concerns that the party might resort to nationalist rhetoric and military adventurism to distract from domestic problems and consolidate its grip on power. Nationalism has always been a powerful tool for the party, and in times of crisis, it becomes even more tempting to use. A successful invasion of Taiwan, however unlikely, could be seen as a means to unify the nation and bolster the party's legitimacy. Such a move would have profound implications for regional stability and global geopolitics, making it a high-stakes gamble for the Chinese leadership. At the helm of this unfolding drama is Xi Jinping, the enigmatic leader of China. Since assuming power, Xi has consolidated his authority, purged rivals, and tightened control over all aspects of Chinese society. His vision for China is clear: to reclaim its rightful place as a global superpower, no matter the cost. Xi's ambitions, however, extend far beyond mere economic dominance. He seeks to restore China's historical and cultural grandeur, and Taiwan, viewed by Beijing as a renegade province, represents a potent symbol of unfinished business. The reunification of Taiwan with the mainland is a core tenet of Xi's ideology, and he has repeatedly stated his determination to achieve this goal by force if necessary. Section 5. Scenarios for invasion. While the exact contours of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan remain uncertain, military analysts have outlined several possible scenarios. These scenarios range from limited engagements to full-scale invasions, each with its own set of complexities and potential outcomes. Understanding these scenarios is crucial for both Taiwan and its allies as they prepare for any eventuality. The first, and perhaps most likely, is a naval blockade. This strategy would involve the Chinese Navy positioning its ships around Taiwan to cut off maritime access. By cutting off Taiwan's access to vital resources, such as food and fuel, China could attempt to starve the island into submission without resorting to a full-scale invasion. This method would also minimize direct military confrontation, reducing the risk of international backlash. However, it would require a prolonged effort and could lead to significant humanitarian crises. A second, more aggressive option would be a lightning grab operation. This would involve rapid deployment of troops and equipment to seize control of key locations. This would involve a swift and decisive military campaign aimed at capturing key strategic targets, including the capital Taipei, before Taiwan or its allies could mount an effective defense. The goal would be to quickly overwhelm Taiwanese defenses and establish control, thereby presenting a fait accompli to the international community. However, this approach carries significant risks, including the potential for high casualties and the possibility of drawing in other nations into the conflict. Finally, there is the doomsday scenario, which involves a multi-pronged attack on Taiwan, U.S. bases in the region, and even potential coordinated attacks within the U.S. involving Chinese nationals and criminal elements. This scenario would represent a full-scale war, with devastating consequences for all parties involved. It would likely trigger a massive international response, and could escalate into a broader regional or even global conflict. The stakes in such a scenario are incredibly high, making it the least likely but most catastrophic option. Section 6. The US-China Chessboard. The escalating tensions between China and the United States over Taiwan are part of a broader geopolitical rivalry that has been brewing for decades. The two superpowers are locked in a battle for economic and technological supremacy, with each side vying for influence and control over key industries and strategic resources. The trade war initiated during the Trump administration, characterized by tit-for-tat tariffs and accusations of unfair trade practices, has further exacerbated tensions. Both sides have also engaged in a massive military buildup, reminiscent of the Cold War, further raising the stakes in this high-stakes game of geopolitical chess. Section 7. Gray Zone Warfare, a silent threat. Beyond traditional military posturing, China has also been employing a range of gray zone tactics to undermine Taiwan and its allies. These tactics, which fall below the threshold of conventional warfare, are designed to achieve strategic objectives without triggering a full-scale military response. Cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, and economic coercion are all part of China's gray zone playbook. China has been accused of launching sophisticated cyber attacks against Taiwanese government agencies, critical infrastructure, and financial institutions, aiming to sow chaos and disrupt daily life. Section 8. A Global Crossroads. The potential for a conflict over Taiwan extends far beyond the shores of East Asia. It has the potential to draw in major global powers, disrupt international trade, and trigger a new era of global instability. The stakes are incredibly high, and the world is watching anxiously as events unfold. A war between China and the US over Taiwan would be a catastrophe for all involved. It would result in unimaginable human suffering, devastate the global economy, and potentially escalate into a wider conflict with unpredictable consequences. The world must use all diplomatic means available to avert this disaster. Section 9. The future hangs in the balance. The world stands at a crossroads. The decisions made in the coming months, both by Xi Jinping in Beijing and by world leaders, will determine the fate of Taiwan, and perhaps the future of the international order. The path ahead is fraught with danger, but diplomacy and dialogue offer the best hope for a peaceful resolution. The alternative is too terrible to contemplate.